Over the weekend, Sister Pat Farrell competed in her first ever powerlifting contest at age 72. Look at her. She's a Dominican sister of Sandra Fall and has found community in the gym. Sister Farrell got a medal for her efforts for benching 77 pounds and deadlifting 160, which is more than her body weight.
Firstly, thank you so much for chatting. What message would you share with somebody in their 60s or 70s who thinks it's too late to start training or too late to adopt something like a plant-based lifestyle? What do you think?
I would say it's never too late, really. Although folks, I think it's too late, and that we can maybe. Okay, so now at this competition, I deadlifted 160 pounds, basically 159.87. I don't know because of the kilograms, but anyway, and I wouldn't encourage a person my age to go and try to do that. Just go down to your gym and go deadlift 160 pounds. You just wouldn't want to do that. One needs to build up one's muscles in different ways to be able to get there. And maybe that's not their goal. Everybody doesn't need to lift 160 pounds. Everybody doesn't need to compete in a powerlifting competition. But studies show that as we age, we need this resistance training even more. And so I've been asked by several people, have I encouraged any of the sisters, many of whom are older than I am, to go lift weights? And I'd say, well, no, but I would like to encourage them. I hope that they are encouraged to do more than they're doing now. And one of the sisters that I saw the other day on Sunday, maybe it was Saturday, on Saturday, said to me that she had, because she had watched these interviews of me, she started walking around the block a couple more times. And now she's using a walker, but it's encouraging her to do that. So we can move more. We can do something for resistance training. But even if we are in our 80s and haven't been moving, if we can just learn how to get up out of our chair and walk around in the hallways, it's a good move.
People do not think about being in their 60s, 70s, 80s. And Pat brought this up to me. When you're 70, you're thinking about it. You are 70. People my age, I'm 33. I'm Jesus age right now. We don't think about that. Most people cannot even imagine what they're going to be like, what they're going to be doing in 5, 10, 20, let alone 40 years. But the reality is muscle deteriorates starting 40 if you have good genetics, or even earlier if you do not use it. There is such a thing, you can Google it, it's called sarcopenia. So you see the muscle of like a 35-year-old person, now 55, now 85, you see that this leg is a little smaller. So a lot of women who come to me for weight loss purposes, and they're like, Katya, I just want to do the minimal amount of effort, like weightlifting, cardio, whatever you give me, nutrition, dieting, to get smaller. And they do get smaller and they get weaker because their bodies naturally get weaker. And they don't think about the fact that they have been walking around fine, squatting onto chairs and couches and toilets, getting up the stairs evenly, picking up grocery bags or their kids and their dogs from the floor with ease, only because they are young. Most women, even my age, cannot push themselves up from the floor. They cannot do a push-up, let alone the pull-up. How many women do you know who can do a pull-up? We can build that strength, though. It is not difficult. You just need to think about those things strategically, and just instead of just letting the nature do its thing in deteriorating our bodies with age until we naturally, become dust, we can resist that process. We can stay stronger for longer. We can stay stronger not just to support ourselves, but to make it easier on our relatives, be a more useful member of the community. There is numerous reasons why staying stronger is a good thing. And it's not just about moving more. I think we need to take those things a little bit more strategically. Like Pat said, not everybody needs to compete in a powerlifting competition. Not everybody needs to continue training through their 9th month of pregnancy like I am right now. But if we are doing those things thoughtfully and thinking, okay, why am I doing these squats? I'm doing these squats because I am going to need to pick up heavy boxes when I volunteer. I don't want my back to hurt. I also would like to do this faster and with more ease. And maybe somebody who can't do that can take a break. I don't really need to do deadlifts, but what if I'm moving and then people hurt their backs? I have not got a single client who ever hurt themselves in the gym, like significantly. No muscle tears, no pulled muscles, no hernias, no nothing. But I have got many clients who went to help friends move a couch, didn't consider that a workout, didn't warm up, didn't pay attention. We're outside the gym, we're not in that mindset. And they're like, Katya, I need to take a break. I think I pulled something. And I'm like, what did you do? And those are trained people I'm talking about. The untrained people, you slip on ice, your muscles in between the legs, the adductors are not strong enough, you pull that.
Well, I could add to that probably it started back in my 30s when I did something to pull my back, and probably that my back muscles weren't strong enough, or my core wasn't, whatever it was. And so I have since then had issues with my lower back, and I'd go to the chiropractor, I'd go get massages, and it would. I would move wrong or whatever, and it would go out again. And I have got to tell you that, and there was always kind of like this low lying feeling in my lower back of this could go. I got to be careful here. And I have got to tell you that deadlifting. Oh my God. People will say to me, some of the sisters or other people will say, oh, if I did that, I'd hurt my back. Or you got to be careful. Don't hurt your back. I have experienced that doing this exercise and lifting heavy weights has strengthened my back. I have got no issues with my back. My knees, I've had issues with my knees, and my squat is getting lower. I'm going to compete in squat next time. So all of these things that were mechanical parts of my body that were beginning to quote unquote break down are now getting stronger so that they're becoming non-issues. And this is through strength training.
So many people suffer from severe back pain, and you're saying that your moderate kind of light to low to moderate back pain has basically been healed because of the deadlifting, because of that one exercise.
Well, and deadlifting, I mean, as they say, is a compound weightlifting exercise. And I've read up on this. It strengthens the entire posterior chain of our body. So, from the back of our ankles, I think, all the way up through our neck, it's working all of that. Some of it is working harder than others, but it works at all. And I love deadlifting. I think that is great fun. So I will tell you about deadlifting. The first time, so I was doing stuff in my living room, and the first time I went to this commercial gym that I could get membership to, I went to the platform and I put the plates on the bar, and I lifted it up. It wasn't all that heavy at the time. It was probably like maybe it was 65 pounds. I guess that is a lot. But as soon as I stood up with that thing in my hands, I felt like Wonder Woman. It was like I'm standing here picking up this heavy weight, and it just gave me a sense of strength that I hadn't experienced before. So I was hooked.
And how long have you been vegan for?
Even though it's been 12 years that I've been steadily vegan, my introduction to it was much, much longer before that, when I had read Diet for a New America by John Robbins. I think that was when it first came out. So I don't remember the year of that, but it would have been like in the 90s, I think. Reading that really opened my eyes and hearts to that differently. And so I did go vegetarian at that point. And then, I mean, so I would say that my history with it has been a little spotty. Okay. So I've been on again and off again and on again and off again, mostly due to personal social environment, just because it becomes difficult from time to time to hold to it. And at that time, Now you can say you do or don't eat anything, and hardly anybody raises an eyebrow about what it is one does or doesn't eat, and people accommodate in different ways and don't mind if you bring your own food. But I would say back in 91, which was around the time I became a sister and entered the convent, you see, at that about that time. And so the sisters are very ethical, moral, socially responsible people who do care about the planet and who care about other people and serving other people. And this was a step that they just can't see. And so in order to do one thing, I needed to kind of let go of another thing. And and so later on, I was able to come back to it. I became vegetarian again, probably, I'd say mid 90s. I became a vegetarian again and ate lots of cheese and put on lots of weight. and and my numbers weren't good, and so it was in losing weight and trying to get my health back together in my 50s was when I started to go more seriously plant-based. But again, it's just that there are challenges, good challenges and bad challenges, and living in community with others that doesn't make always sticking to a particular way of eating all that easy. So there was here and there was there and there was here and there was there. And so I would say that the last 12 years have been the more consistent years of staying with a vegan diet. And people know that that's how I eat. People support that's how I eat. And it's and so we support one another in that. So it's been an easier part of the journey. And like Katya, it's certainly a diet for a new America pointed toward the environmental uh, reasons to go plant-based. And then other things that I would read and inform myself about opened my eyes even more to the suffering of animals in our slaughterhouses, and then the way that they are raised. And certainly I have noticed over the years that it has supported my health. As you know, I'm 72 years old. I don't have diabetes. I have borderline cholesterol, but not high enough to medicate. And I don't have high blood pressure. I think, in fact, I've always been surprised. I always thought that, well, if I really nail this vegan thing, my cholesterol numbers are going to come down. No, not so much, but they're at a level that is reasonable, and my doctor doesn't worry about. So, and then adding this exercise piece, even with exercise, it doesn't change it. So I think for us, so I realize that there are many ways to healthy nutrition, and I find this one has benefited me.
And Katya, with your other clients and the people you work with, are they receptive to the idea of veganism, or at least incorporating a more plant-based approach to their nutrition?
So not all my clients are vegan, and I do think it's a good thing for a vegan coach to take people who are not just vegan but also omnivores, and some of them even are like heavy meat eaters. To be honest, people find me because of my athletic accomplishments and not because of the way I eat typically, but because we talk to one another. I tend to understand their reasoning for not being vegan yet or not considering it. And they understand my reasonings for eating plant based and try the foods that I eat and try more vegan options and get introduced to seitan and tofu and other things that are macro friendly can impact their athletic development in a positive way. So I think that creating silos of like vegans training vegans and like meat eaters training meat eaters or omnivores, hanging out separately is not a good thing for anybody. And I specifically do not exclude non-vegan clients for that reason. But when it comes to training vegans, I think it's a lot easier for me because I have the recipes. I know how difficult it can be to get protein when you go out, especially if you don't live in like the UK or the US or Canada. If you live in other countries and you had to cook more, you had to order stuff online, it tends to get more difficult. Regarding training, it's about the same because it just comes to macronutrients that you can get, vegan protein, non-vegan protein. Yes, vegan protein comes with more fiber, so we do need to accommodate for that. There was a recent study that came out that says vegans do need to eat a little bit more protein, but this little bit is such an insignificant percentage that I don't think we need to add anything that's non-plant based to excel our athletic performance. And myself and Patricia and the rest of my clients who are vegan are proof to that.
Yeah, I really agree with the protein point. I think what I say to people, and I don't know whether you agree, is protein is such an overblown concept in our society, and that if you just eat whole food, especially whole plant-based food, you'll get more than enough protein. If you are doing lots of athletics and bodybuilding and quite advanced in those respective fields, then yeah, you might need to be extra cautious and conscious of getting your protein from like beans and maybe even like a protein pea protein supplement. But normally it's just absolutely completely fine. I wondered, Pat, what are some of the common myths and some of the kind of forms of pushback that you receive, perhaps from your friends or the church? And also, are you familiar with the Seventh-day Adventists, and what do you think of their approach to health and ethics?
Well, actually, I wouldn't say I get much pushback at all. I would have back in the time when I entered the convent, because when you're a newbie, and that was why I let go of it for a while. But once I got ground under my feet. But anyway, be that as it may, I've not really gotten pushback from friends or sisters. I think that what will happen sometimes is that I'll be at a table of people and we're eating and I'm eating something different, and someone who is new to me, who doesn't know me, will ask the question why, and then I might see eye rolls around the table because they don't really want to hear the story. So I think that it's certainly there's no real pushback, but just don't talk about it. It would be more and so I think it's helpful not to be preachy about it, and just to live healthy, lift. I mean, the fact that I can lift weights and take no medicine and I'm age 72, it should be testimony enough to this way of living. But and if you had another part of the question that wasn't pushback, about the Seventh-day Adventists. Oh, I'm very much aware, of the blue zones and Loma Linda and the Adventist study, and I think they too are a testimony. They're not. They may not totally be plant based. I think that they will eat eggs and dairy, so they would be lacto ovo vegetarians, many of them. But they are still promoting a more plant-based diet than the standard American diet. And I think that when we talk about plant-based eating, I think that Katya points to this in her comments about working with folks who are not vegan, is that we need to not make the perfect the enemy of the good. We need to, there's a term out there now, reducitarian. Can we reduce the amount of animal products that we eat? That will help the lives of the animals. That will help the life of the planet. And that will help our own health and well-being. So I think sometimes people get it the binariness of everything these days. It's like the vegan haters and the carnivore haters. And how is it that we can let go of the hate camps and allow for people to come along slowly at their own speed?
Pat, in terms of how this intersects with your faith, I watched the film Christspiracy a year or two ago, which is all about asking the question, can you spiritually take the life of an animal? Like, how is that spiritual? How is that humane? Has there been any overlap in your mind about that, or how do you feel?
We need to have a way of perceiving the world differently, of seeing the universe differently, of being this cosmos, this earth, this universe is something we are a part of. We are not separate from it. And so I think that a lot of the way that we have perceived the world in even spiritual terms previously, um, it has been, um, God out there, me against the world. We're on this journey to fight all of the evil things against us, and so it changes the way we perceive all of the creatures with whom we share this world, this earth. We are part of it. They are part of us, and we are not separate from them. And once we start to see the oneness of it all, it changes our perspective, I think, on how we treat all of these beings with whom we share, all of the beings with whom we share this planet. And so it's a mind shift. It's a paradigm shift. It's um, when we look at Earth as being the animals and the plants being created for us, is a different way of looking at it than we are part of this. And so if we are part of this, how I treat um, the cows and the pigs and the chickens is as important as how I treat my neighbor, because they are my neighbor. They are not lesser than me. And so it's a shift. And I think that there is a shift in thinking spiritually in many traditions, Christian, Hebrew, Islamic, that are taking us in that direction. There's many writings that are looking at that, and there are many theologians who are taking a look at that. But these things take time, because our history is much more omnivore than it is vegan.
But certainly from a health and environmental perspective, I find it much easier to make a predominantly plant-based, like a pushing towards the plant-based spectrum approach. I don't know, Katya, like what you think about that.
It's definitely easier to be a predominantly plant-based advocate because it takes a non exclusive approach to people regarding what their reasons for eating plant-based or vegan are, for I guess the amounts of non plant-based foods, because I think vegan is a lifestyle and plant-based is like a way of eating to me, even though I do say vegan diet, like on my social media, sometimes people like to hear that. People like that term. But it's vegan lifestyle and plant-based diet to me.
Almost any restaurant anymore has a vegan choice on the menu. There are plenty of choices at the grocery store of things that we can purchase that are plant-based. And so it is much easier today in 2025 than ever before to eat plant-based here in the United States. Well, I can think back to trips I have made with people to poorer parts of the world, even some parts of Mexico, where I visited someone's home and they served chicken. And these were poor people who could barely afford to live. I would not have turned down that chicken for anything, because this was graciously offered to me in hospitality. And if I were to say, oh no, I don't eat that because I'm a wholly vegan person, that would have been a slap in the face to a poor person's hospitality. So I think we need to have some kind of, and that person wouldn't have had any access to plant-based foods other than the rice and the beans that they ordinarily ate. But here they have company coming for dinner, and they're going to serve them something special. So I think this is why I think we need to be reasonable in how we approach this, depending on where we are and with whom we are.
Any closing remarks?
Don't back down. I started lifting at 27 and I'm an elite powerlifter now. I'm taking a break and then coming back, and there's a long road ahead, I believe. Pat started at 72. You can really start at any age.
Never give up. Never give up. Don't throw in the towel. I mean, I think you were alluding to this, Katya, that whether it's on the vegan pathway or the weightlifting pathway or our spiritual journeys, we make a mistake. Oh, I didn't do it. I'm washed up. So I'm going to go back to the way I was not doing things before. So never give up. Just I made that mistake, and pick up and go from there.
Thank you so much for doing the interview. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you. We'll link your social media down below in the description, and we'll see everybody very soon.